episode of Progress, Potential, and Possibilities, discussions with fascinating people designing a better tomorrow for all of us. I'm your host, Ira Pastor. Welcome, everybody, again to another episode of our show, bringing you another truly fascinating guest today, creating a better tomorrow for all of us on many unique fronts. Today, we have the honor of being joined on the show by Viren Shah, who is Vice President and Chief Digital Officer at General Electric Appliances, part of the American home appliance manufacturer, now a subsidiary of the Chinese multinational home appliance company, the Haier Company. Mr. Shah has been with the organization since October of 2018, where he was appointed to lead their business through digital transformation, ultimately with a focus on data and intelligence at the very center of this initiative. Prior to becoming part of the Haier Company, Mr. Shah was the Chief Information Officer at Masco Cabinetry and the Chief Information Officer Council Leader for their parent company, Masco Corporation, the international conglomerate manufacturer of products for home improvement and new home construction. Mr. Shah has more than 2 decades of experience in creating business value using technology with a very strong focus on customers for Fortune 10 organizations, such as a decade that he spent at the Walmart organization. He's contributed as a senior leader towards the success of startups, turnarounds, and global mergers and acquisitions. Mr. Shah implemented the Think Global, Act Local methodologies, utilizing operational and cultural experience in areas of IT strategy, omnichannel business development and governance in more than 20 countries across the Americas, Australia, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Mr. holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from Bombay University, a master's in business administration degree in international marketing and short-term finance from New York Institute of Technology, executive education degree here in digital marketing strategies for digital economy from the Wharton School here in Philadelphia. A lot to talk about. Viren Shah, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
It's an honor, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's great to have you. Would love to hand things over to you for a couple minutes just to talk a little bit more about yourself, about how you originally got interested in computer science and a little bit of the early days in your career journey. I think that'd be a great way to start things off.
Yeah, I would say it's very late in life I realized my purpose, but I would say my purpose is just to take organizations forward and have a platform where people can realize their potential. And I think those are the 2 things that excites me, or I believe I've kind of sort of worked towards those things unknowingly for a very long time, till I finally realized, that's what I really enjoy doing. So if you ask me, that's kind of how I would say it's been a purposeful journey for me. And it begins, born in a very small town in India. Then, somehow getting into computer engineering. Believe it or not, my father thought it was a great idea. I didn't even know what I wanted to be. And if you ask me, post then came to do my MBA in the United States just because somebody told me I couldn't and I wasn't smart enough. And I think that's been kind of my journey, is just attempting to prove people wrong who thought I couldn't do certain things. And so there was a lot of startups that didn't work out. When I worked for Walmart, just a lot of paradigm shifting work that I did there. Go to Australia or opening up Walmart in India. Mm-hmm. So just challenging the status quo has been kind of my journey map, for lack of better terms.
Outstanding. And Viren, I was looking sort of through the history of GE appliances, and we have several of them in this house. And looking through a lot of the firsts over the last century, first self-cleaning oven, first over-the-range microwave, first manufacturer to launch Wi-Fi connected appliances, first one to integrate with Amazon and Google voice assistants. A lot of firsts, and looking at GE now higher, of course, this isn't really an appliance company anymore per se. It's something a little more in terms of this really interconnected model, information flow, and so forth. Talk a little bit about the history, if you would, and how over time the organization has transitioned from just being, once again, the producer of these items to something a little more integrated.
Yeah, so, I am fortunate to reap the benefits of a great foundation laid for many, many decades and years. And the organization, as we said, is a 100-plus-year-old company with a 5-year-old mindset. And our goals, we always revisit them. So last 5 years, it has been being the leading appliance company. The next 5 years is all about being the leader in being the leading ecosystem appliance company. And what that technically means is, as you just indicated, is we do want to bring good things for life. I think that we want to keep doing that, and that is always going to be the case. But we truly are now thinking of our organization in how do we become kind of a hardware, software, services organization, and the appliance and the core being the hardware, and then constantly updating with software. So, we recently, sometime early this year, put a new over-the-air upgrade software, which goes back to somebody was in our technology team, was very smart in thinking of those things about 7 years ago, and we can do over-the-air software upgrades just like Tesla. So we turned on the air fryer feature on people's ovens just remotely. So now suddenly you don't have to go buy an air fryer, you have it. And so it's just the ability to participate with an organization such as GE Appliances is just amazing. And for us, we think about these things as ecosystems, and an ecosystem approach to say, how do we participate in the air ecosystem? How do we participate in the water ecosystem? Because our appliances play a big role in the homes when it comes to these elements. And so that's how we are broadening our not only portfolio, but also our mindset. Because as much as this is about products, as much as this is about new ways of doing things, it's a new way of thinking. And we are working towards that. And then we call the GEA way is just we come together, we create possibilities, and we make things better. It's pretty simple. And that's what we attempt to do every day.
And in your role as the Chief Digital Officer, obviously you stay on the cutting edge of everything that's happening. We hear a lot about this transition. We saw the transition to the cloud. Now we hear about this transition to so-called edge, where we have, whether it's my dishwasher or my refrigerator, has a lot of complex hardware in there that, is pretty advanced compared to what was there 10 years ago. Talk a little bit about some of the trends that you see in your role as the Chief Digital Officer, first on the computing side, of course, and we'll get into sort of things like artificial intelligence and all that later. But what excites you? What are the technologies coming down the road that are most interesting to you? Take us a little bit on that journey.
Yeah, so I truly believe, for any organization, focus is important of what we are trying to do. But there is a piece of leverage. And it's not only leveraging the knowledge we have, but also leveraging partners, aka Google, aka Amazon, aka, all the Dell. So these are the folks who help us a lot in thinking about how compute on the edge versus compute on the core, and basically ensuring and helping us that aspect. So I'll give you the easiest example.
Sure.
An appliance now, we can term it as an edge, but I think it's going to be more than an edge, because how do you think about an appliance as we always use the word consumer 360. I would use also appliance 360, because an appliance changes owners.
Okay.
An appliance is going to make decisions. Oh, you need soap, let me buy it for you. Oh, an appliance will be integrated within health management, just my ecosystem aspect, and say, oh, you're going to run out of prescription medicine, if it's in the refrigerator, and we can do that. So a lot of decisions are going to happen at the edge, and bringing it back to that aspect is, and that's why it's very critical where the compute on the edge is smart enough to be able to evolve as this evolution is happening. But most importantly, as I was going a little bit before, is it's going to be the way we can create holistic experiences for you. So for us, it's not only just a edge device, it's actually an entity, which is going to have a personality.
And I guess that leads me into you announced the partnering with Google and the smart home appliances, and obviously terms like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so forth. And you just talked about some examples there. Yes, I don't need to reorder this or so forth. Obviously, health and well-being, an extremely important part of our show and everything we talk about. Take us a little bit on sort of that journey, but some of the things you're foreseeing here, so especially on the health and well-being side, because it's such a hot topic. I guess we're not at the stage where my refrigerator can tell me, eat this, don't eat that, or order more of these things, not these. But
well, I don't think you like the answer. at least that's what I worry about. Is like, I don't know, I do want to eat that ice cream, but yeah, I think there is a lot to do with. We can begin with very simple use cases. We can call, there are quite a few complex ones, but simple use case is caring for your elderly.
Yeah.
So, for example, say, hey, today we know when you open up a refrigerator door or not. Okay, how do I help you or anybody or me to say, hey, my, whoever I am caring for, in my case would be my parents. Hey, they've not opened the refrigerator today morning. It could be as simple as that, right? Because it's a daily behavior, and today it's missed the daily behavior.
Yeah.
Or, just the trash can aspect of it, or different aspects like dishwashers.
Yep.
So we can start sensing these intelligently and just help for the caring for the elderly. Now we can extend this more into you, just like you talked about, the ability for the refrigerator to say, hey, you know what, I think you've had enough pizzas. It's probably a rest day today. But yeah, so, and I think that's where I will go back to my ecosystem concept. Is if I look at health as an ecosystem, we can play a very big role in conjunction with other organizations. So very similar in those aspects, we can surely be helping you.
And you're mentioning obviously smart home and sort of this theme that we've talked about in terms of aging in place for the elderly. You were just talking about your parents. I have the same issue with my parent-in-law. You've also, you're also very focused on smart manufacturing, which is, part of your initiatives as Chief Digital Officer. You gave a talk recently at the Enterprise Digital Conference, sort of an Industry 4.0. Talk a little bit about how some of these tools, once again, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, the cloud, and so forth, are helping you at GE in terms of the manufacturing side of this, because
so the easiest way to think about it, and everybody uses this cool word, digital thread and digital twin, and I just say connecting data, and for me, that's what this is all about. Is I call it, data is kind of the new blood, and the more good and pure and healthy it is, the better off as a whole system we will be. And for me, I think that's what it is all about, is how do you take the telemetry from the field and get it back into the plants? Most organizations, including ours, supply chain has not been fun the last many months. And how do you create a view where you can truly help and impact? Okay, what's important, what's priority, and how do we help through that? So when I use the term manufacturing, it's all about the supply chain piece. Yes, there is many different things. Our manufacturing team, or advanced manufacturing team, products like autonomous forklifts and different things. But in my mind, it's all about the data, and how do we connect the data from the field, going back to the appliance is not only the edge, it has a personality. And how do I take that data and say, okay, I'm going to need a part or a new appliance or different things. For example, say, how do I help you do a make-buy decision? If I know something is going to go bad on your appliance, it's 7 years old, right? So I think that's what we are very much focused on, taking those inputs into quality and how do we make our appliance better. But I also believe it will also help on how things get used. For example, say, I'm assuming you have a laundry machine at home.
Sure.
It has probably 12 options.
More than that.
I have used only one in most cases.
Me too.
Right? Too. So how do we help you understand, okay, what are the other 11 be? And as the clothing industry gets smarter and smarter, because now we are hearing, hey, they're putting nanotechnology in the clothing, and now we can start sensing clothing or put cameras in the laundry machine. So we are hoping to get better and better at these things. But it boils down to, how are you using your machine and then putting it back into, okay, what are the new product development and doing the design perspective. So a lot of data we can pull in based on how you use and what you use. And what I would like to add, since we are on that subject, is I truly believe mass customization is the new way. And everybody uses this word, and I'll give you my interpretation of it.
Okay.
For me, it's being there with you and for you in that given situation.
Okay.
It's very situational. And am I there as your helper, as your advocate, as your ambassador in that moment? It's not about just sending you 8 emails because you bought a shirt of red color, another, 8 red colors, different kinds of shirts or red color pants or whatever goes with the red color shirt, right? I think the recommendation piece is not customization. The customization to me is being with you in the moment. And I think that's what I feel is the new way.
Got it. Viren, what are you, for the the next generation that's coming along, that's listening to this, that wants to come work with you or for you, what are you looking for from this next generation in terms of sort of this industry 4.0 and the digitalization and so forth? Are you looking for engineers, computer programmers? What's the profile of that the next generation person that comes in your office and wants to work at General Electric Appliances?
Of course, we are looking at all the skills that you just mentioned, okay? But primarily, we are looking for people who can have a new age mindset or a growth mindset. And what I mean by that is going back to, I enjoy giving you a platform where you can realize your potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want to do. So for us, it's all about people having certain skills that applies to the products we make and what problems we solve for. But it's more about the ability to say, let's try this,
mm-hmm.
right? We are wanting to have entrepreneurs. We are wanting to have entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of the mindset we are working towards. And that would be my things that I would look for is, the skills, of course, to do what is required, but most importantly, a growth mindset, because that, I think, is what's going to be a big imperative of all of us. Because, we can, it was interesting. I was taking a class recently, and one of the things, John Hagel, he's a very big author,
Sure.
and it was his class. And somebody asked him, he said, hey, what change management, and how do you deal with change management? And it was very interesting. Another person, so we were on a webinar,
mm-hmm.
and another person was there, and he answered the question saying, what change management? Because everything is changing in few months. The ability to deploy a full-scale change management process
Mm-hmm.
is becoming very, very difficult because changes every day.
Sure.
So for us, that's what it is about, is we are a very fast growing and now evolving company. And that's how we think, is just, hey, let's go see if this works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was reading an interview with you recently where you were asked about what you thought some of the more exciting tech developments were in the next decade, and you brought up quantum computing, which obviously an extremely hot topic nowadays. Talk a little bit about, obviously these computers aren't technically here yet, but where do you envision that this will take us, and obviously connecting into the GE vision of being part of these ecosystems, the water ecosystem, the air ecosystem, and so forth? Where are we 10 years out when the quantum computer shows up at the Viren Shah's office?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I think that's a very difficult question for me to answer of what I think I'm doing with a quantum computer in 10 years. But what I can tell you is, in an ecosystems approach world, it will be very necessary, for example's sake, to settle a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So we are creating shared value. And let's say if I was doing, a transaction with you today,
Sure.
it probably takes me a few days, weeks, months to settle. Mm-hmm. Like the credit card industry has come a long way. It used to take weeks to settle. Now you can do it in hours. Okay. Mm-hmm. Very similarly, I feel quantum computing and the ability of these processing powers or communications power and the ability to encrypt and decrypt things so fast will just create many new business models. And we just want to be ready for it. I don't know what they are, and I'm not good at guessing. So I would say the ability of what that brings with itself, mm-hmm. is going to be huge. And I'm we will evolve as it shows up.
The other question, you were asked in this interview, which I found fascinating. You were asked about sort of after GE or aside, what are some of the dream jobs that you would look for? And you actually brought up two interesting organizations. We've had people on the show from both UNICEF and Red Cross, and it got me thinking about, obviously, it's a big world out there. You've worked across multiple continents. How do you see sort of the evolution? Obviously, we have some really high-tech GE products here, but obviously, these products, these tools, these technologies can do so much more for public good, for public health. How do you see sort of what you're doing at GE Appliances, helping out, reaching out to other populations around the world, whether it's, dealing with pandemics or other issues that are going to pop up in the coming years? Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
So that is actually very near and dear to my heart. If you ask me, I call it my second mountain. Mm-hmm. And so right now I work with the Red Cross as in the capacity of a board member. Mm-hmm. But I was fortunate. So just last week, it's interesting. I applied for a job as a volunteer on the mm-hmm. Red Cross website. And so I finally got interviewed, and I'm going to work with the team over there. But one of the aspects that they are saying, hey, we could really use your guidance on is innovation. Mm-hmm. And how do we innovate? And, how do we put these processes in place and things like that? So, it was very interesting just to share the thoughts with the person in charge, because I applied for a certain thing and said, well, I don't think we want to use you for that. We want to use you for this. But for me, I feel it goes back to my purpose statement is I just want the organization to keep moving forward mm-hmm. and create a platform for people to realize the potential. I strongly believe in a not-for-profit organization like Red Cross will give me that opportunity to do so. And I am excited and very fortunate to see that through. But going back to, disaster recovery, disaster response and recovery, that's a huge aspect of Red Cross. How do we change that? How do we, recently, as you have read in the newspapers, there are a lot of people coming in from other parts of the world. Mm-hmm. Just getting the basics in place for them. And it is a struggle. It's not easy. And how do we help through these processes using technology is my hope. And I'm pretty sure at GE Appliances, we will have very similar initiatives. We are very much engaged with our community and do different things. And I'm hoping to do some stuff with our products too.
Well, it's going to be fascinating watching your continued journey, Viren. It's a really great story. Wishing you the best with all this on both fronts, on the GE side and the Red Cross side. And that's I wanted to break that up because I was been reading about it and I thought it was just a fascinating additional part of your profile. So really wishing you the best with all of this, and for everybody that's going to be watching this show on the YouTube channel, listening across the various podcasts. You've been listening to Viren Shah, Vice President and Chief Digital Officer, General Electric Appliances, part of the Hire company. Viren, it was great to see you. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. Thanks for everything you're doing there for people around the world. And as we say on our show, thanks for helping to create a better tomorrow through it.
Yeah, I just have one comment for the audience before we sign off.
Please, have the floor.
But thanks a lot for allowing me to share some of my thoughts. But if there is one request, action to the audience who is listening, and doing a lot of reflection, is We keep using the word futuristic. What I request of you is just create that future today. Is imagine it, write it down, and keep working it. And it's unbelievable how easy it is that it comes to life. And I'm saying that from my personal experience. I recently was looking at something that I wrote about just about 8 years ago. I have 2 more years to go. And it is my 56th birthday. And I'm probably going to post that on my LinkedIn, because I think now I should be able to do that, of what I had imagined, what I wanted to do. And I wouldn't say I've checked all the boxes, but I got close. And I think having a true north, whoever you are, whatever you believe in, having that true north always next to you will help you a lot. So just create that in whatever shape or form works for you. It's not difficult to do. It is difficult to keep up with it. But unless you have a true north, you don't know where you're going. So my humble request to each one of you is to do that. And thank you for giving me the time to share.
Wonderful message. Thanks so much, Viren.